All right, good evening, everyone. It is 7:04. Let's go ahead and begin tonight's Planning Commission meeting of the Haverford Township Planning Commission. If we could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I'd like to call roll, please. We have Mr. Channon.
Here.
Mr. Welsh.
Here.
Mr. Capuzzi.
Here.
Mr. Montresor is absent. Ms. Juzik. Here. And Mr. Cortese is also absent. All right, the first order on our agenda this evening is a proposed land development application for a preliminary final subdivision and land development plan from CMC Havertown LP at the address of 2225 Darby Road. This is for the lot consolidation of two existing lots and the construction of a 945 square foot building addition to an existing non-residential property. It is within the C3 General Commercial Zoning District. Do we have anyone here on behalf of the applicant? Would you please introduce yourself and your project, please?
Good evening. My name is Sean Paul from Lynn Architects, the civil engineering and architecture team for this project. Representing the crossbar as the Cox family who owns the property. We would like to start by showing off the set of plans here and the existing conditions. The existing conditions of this property are there are tents on the property that are currently being utilized as the outdoor dining. Give a little backstory in the property. The property was purchased by the Cox family in 2011. It was formerly known as the Kilgallen's Tavern. The Cox family, since purchasing it, has expanded the business through a small kitchen expansion a few years back, offering a greater food service, cleaning up the outside of the building, making it look like how we see it today. And they grew up locally. They are a local family. Between 2018 and 2020, a small outdoor dining area was added to the outside of the property in the location of this first canopy. That was about 450 square feet. In 2020, which we all know COVID hit everywhere pretty hard, the outdoor dining space was expanded to include this secondary outdoor tent space. That has been utilized 12 months out of the year since March, or I guess April of 2020. In November 2024, the Zoning Hearing Board of Haverford, case number Z2429, did grant relief for the building construction as we've shown on the plan. There are 9 items of relief in there. They are labeled on our plan set here in our zoning hearing board decision up here. They include zoning setbacks. Obviously, we are within the front yard setback, buffer requirements due to the buildings being on top of each other, loading zone requirements, things of that nature, parking requirements due to the expansion of the building. Majority of the clientele utilize street parking, parking provided up the street on the Haverford Township parking spaces, and they do live locally and they walk to the neighborhood. So parking as it exists in the future will be how it exists in the present, and we don't have an issue with our parking. About the plans, the building, like I said, is limited to within reason of the location of these current tents. The total tent space was 983 square feet. We are proposing a 923 square foot addition. So again, within that same parameter, we do have some expanded landscaping, which we didn't have on the site before, which allowed us, which counted for our stormwater management. There's some other under or unutilized impervious surface in the rear. There's a ramp that connects this property to the property behind. A concrete ramp will be removed and replaced with amended soils so that we could get some landscaping planted back there, some lawn landscaping, again, counting for our impervious coverage. Currently on the site, we do not have a dumpster enclosure. We are proposing a dumpster enclosure in the location of the current totes. I guess I shouldn't say dumpster. It's an enclosure that we're utilizing for trash and garbage and grease. It won't be necessarily limited to dumpsters, but there are currently totes. We would like to enclose those in a space for the neighbors and also for the business use also. This addition is a small addition off the side of the current addition, the current building. So all of the utilities are going to be fed through the existing building. The utilities are at this time not planned to be expanded through the use of water, sewer, electric. What we have on the site now is enough for what we need. The building doesn't need to be sprinklered. The area disturbance is very limited on this site due to it being just a simple spot construction of a building addition next to an existing building. Again, no utility tie-ins, anything like that. So the only areas of construction are the building itself, the areas of which we are proposing landscaping, and in the back for the area for the dumpster. There'll be, we're removing only impervious surface, so there's no need for a topsoil stockpile or any of that. The driveway surface, the curb apron, sidewalks, and curb are currently in okay condition. We do understand that during construction, things happen, especially with concrete trucks pulling up, pouring the foundations, pouring the curb, any of that sort. They can, there will be cracks to the sidewalk. So we have added a note on the plan that any substandard curb sidewalk before the opening of the building will have to be replaced to meet township code, and which may include some milling and overlaying within the driveway. In the rear of the building, we have an area. Let me pull down to our grading plan here. In our grading plan, we have this area behind the building. It's just we're adding some asphalt back there. It's not included in our disturbance just because we're going on top of existing impervious surface. We're adding some asphalt there just to keep some positive drainage away from the building, and that may include some milling and overlaying on the driveway as we come down, just based on the nature of the construction. I have our image here. We've worked out, and I believe a similar image, if not the same image, was used during the zoning hearing process. This is the general ilk and character of what's been reconstructed next door, and what we're looking to accomplish moving forward. The use of landscaping along the side of the building to help soften some of these impervious surfaces. Some additional landscaping in front of the building, hanging off the side of the building. Again, this is the general ilk and character with the secondary entrance where you see it off the driveway versus only coming in the steps in front of the main building. The interior space is a dining room space only. There will be a hostess area, an additional toilet area in the back based on the building code requirements, and also for ADA having our proper turning radius inside the bathroom. The current bathroom doesn't meet. The bar is going to stay in the location it is and not be expanded out into this secondary dining room. We're looking to simply just expand what was there before, and the patrons pre to post are going to be similar, albeit we don't have to burn propane heaters during the middle of the winter to keep them warm when they're trying to dine on St. Patty's Day and throughout the winter. Both doorways will still be utilized. The existing doorway that everybody's using now will still be used, and there is a cut in the side of the building that's being used as the doorway to go out into the outdoor dining, utilizing that for the indoor cut through between the building, and an additional opening in the back of the building, again, just to create some clear circulation space inside of the building.
If I can just
Go
cut
ahead.
in real fast,
Go
those entrances on the inside, were those pre-existing before the tents were installed?
This one at the bottom was, this one at the top is not.
That one's being added?
Correct.
Was the one in the front of the building, was that an exit door previously?
What sort of exit door? A handicap exit door or
Well, what was, because
egress
it's right
door?
by, yeah, because it's right by the front door. So I'm just curious what it was used for previously.
From my knowledge, this door was used simply to get food and alcohol out to the outdoor dining space.
No, before the outdoor dining space was installed. Because that would have been at the parking lot, correct?
Correct. I don't have that information. I do have the owner with me. If I could have him come up
We
and,
put that in 2000, the doorway, we put in
what was it used for, the outdoor dining?
yes, just for that awning area
Okay.
before the tent.
All right, so, yeah.
There was an awning area before the tent went up?
Yes,
Okay,
that
so,
was there first.
so it was parking, and then you added an awning?
It was, yeah, it was parking. Well, it wasn't parking right there, it was parking back beyond there. Bushes there,
Okay,
there was parking.
but that,
Where the,
but that door was added
yes,
by you?
yes.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, so from what we could tell, the outdoor dining area was started around 2018 in the one area, and it was expanded in 2020 during COVID.
Okay.
Again, it was a pretty lightweight set of plans. Our stormwater management is actually limited to impervious surface reduction. We're able to meet the requirements of the Darby Cobb's Act 167, which was pre-development rate must meet the existing storms 5, 10, 25, 50, and 100 to a 1-to-1 ratio, and the pre-development, post-development meet to a 2-to-1 ratio. But the Act 167 does require the 2-year pre-developed volume based on 20% reduction in the existing impervious surface and counted as meadow, which we're able to accomplish. Our stormwater management, we are seeing a reduction from the 1-year storm up to the 100-year storm. And in the 100-year storm, we see a total volume of reduction in our pre-existing conditions was 761 square feet, and our post-development is 669 square feet. That is solely based on the area of our disturbance. Again, I'm trying to treat this as a spot construction. We're not counting the entire area as our pre-development area. If we start doing that, we'd have to do underground stormwater, and the stormwater in that area is limited. There is an inlet up in the corner of Campbell Avenue. We did do a survey out there, and that inlet is completely clogged over. We don't know if it's just used as a flush to get underneath Campbell Avenue, or if there's something going on in that system. There is an inlet farther down on Darby Road. We'd like to keep it as contained as we can. And the way we can do that is simply a reduction in impervious surface. We are seeing a runoff rate reduction from 0.32 to 0.28 CFS. Again, it's not much, but it's what we're able to accomplish with this simple spot construction. Again, ENS is going to be limited to, we don't have inlets in the area. We have some silt sock running out front, very limited. There's one existing tree out front in the landscape area. The owner installed quite a few years back. I believe it's a dogwood. We're trying to utilize that as our existing tree, our existing street tree. Other than that, the only landscaping we have going down the side of the building, we have these dwarf garden arborvitaes. They do well in full sun, shade. They do well in drought. We believe they're going to be a positive addition. Plus, they'll look a little different than what's shown on the plan here, because I picked the golden one just to try to match a little bit, try to see the outside of the building a little more. And the dwarf golden arborvitaes are better drought resistance. The existing landscaping out in the front here, landscaping out in the front here is existing. These rose bushes and the boxwoods, and here is the dogwood tree. I don't want to take up too much of your time, and I know it's a smaller plan set, and I would like to open up any questions you guys had for us.
Thank you. I will go ahead and get started with just a couple questions that I have. So if we start at the front of the property and work our way back.
Okay.
So we have the existing landscaped area. I know you said those boxwoods are pre-existing.
Yes.
Those do nothing, though, for any sort of native pollinator or kind of, they're easy to maintain, but I would suggest if you're going in and doing any sort of landscaping improvements, that those be replaced with a better shrub.
Okay.
That will do a little bit more for our ecology, and have an aesthetic quality beyond just a green box shrub.
Okay.
Also, what is the width of the sidewalk there that's in between the landscaped area and the front of the building?
It's the old standard PennDOT 4-foot wide sidewalk.
Okay,
In this location here. Obviously, it widens out as you get to the top of the, in front of the actual crossbar itself.
right, because it looks like the sidewalk expands on either side? So there's just this like landscaped area that's cut out right in front of this property that's kind of unique along that block, is that correct?
Correct, yes,
Okay.
yeah. And that's, that is existing,
That's existing?
yes.
Was that? Okay,
And that was existing prior to the owner, if that's what you're gonna ask, yeah.
okay. I was just looking to see if there was any requirement that would be triggered by the land development that would require the sidewalk be brought up to a 5-foot width requirement. I don't know if that's a condition, but I think that would really be helpful in an urban area like this, especially if a lot of your clientele are walking to this restaurant, and because the sidewalk is wider on either side, if you're going to be taking out the boxwoods anyway, I think it would be a nice recommendation to increase the width of that sidewalk to 5 feet, just to improve the streetscape, and that's full ADA compatibility. I understand that it's a pre-existing condition, but if we're going to be coming in and doing this work anyway, I think it would be beneficial to increase the pedestrian amenities in front of this building here, and because also you have vehicles utilizing this driveway in and out. So it just gives a little bit more breathing room for pedestrians, especially if we're going to have the handicap ramp coming off of the driveway entrance right there. A little bit more of a sidewalk width would be helpful if people have to, correct, yeah. So I would like to go ahead and make that recommendation that the sidewalk be improved to 5 feet in front of the property, and then the landscaping in that landscaped area be improved with native plants that will provide a little bit more to our
We could do that. I know,
pollinators.
to answer the question about the sidewalk width, PennDOT does require the 5-foot sidewalk width currently. However, if it's less than, maybe speaking out of turn, I believe it's less than 100 feet. If it's less than 100 feet, you're allowed to have the 4-foot width as long as you have the 5-foot wide within 100 feet, so you could have people pass
The
back
pass
and
area,
forth.
right,
Yeah, back and
right,
forth
yeah.
between that.
No, I
Okay.
understand.
Okay,
But just an ask, we're just advisory.
Okay, that's
So I'm just making the comment.
That's fine.
Just for the record. All right, and then, what is the nature of the easement right now? So in going back before 2018, so before any outside tents or dining were added in this area, these were all parking spaces almost until the driveway entrance, is that correct?
correct.
So when you purchased, okay,
Parking spot started like right around where that barrel is. They were like really angled, tight angle.
okay.
Couldn't turn in the way they had them.
They were angled so that you would pull in, and then they were angled back towards the back of the lot?
They actually were angled the wrong way.
They were,
Really hard to get in.
okay,
We didn't own that piece of land until 2016. So
okay.
we never used it until then, until I bought that property.
Okay. Okay. So the parking lot and the driveway entrance was originally not part of the property, but then you purchased the part of the property that had the parking spaces on them.
They're two separate lots. We bought the one lot where the addition is,
Right.
taxable lot.
Yep.
We bought half the building right there, 2217. It was the rest of the parking.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, okay.
Says, yeah.
Okay. So then,
I actually bought it, Brendan.
Oh, I see, 2217. Okay, so then the driveway area belongs to which lot then?
But we're in the process of getting an easement. I mean, I obviously own it, so
Yeah,
I own it.
yes,
So,
but,
we are in the process of getting an easement done.
oh, I'm sorry, yes. If you are going to answer questions, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself and using the microphone. Thank you, David.
No, we haven't gotten the easement yet, but we are gonna get that done also.
Okay.
The crossbar has. the right of way.
So I would just say that easement should be recorded on this plan,
Okay.
just because, again, if you ever end up not owning one or either of the
No, yeah, that's
properties, it would be beneficial to have that easement codified in the land development, so it would be somewhere on the plan itself.
Okay.
And then for your limit of disturbance, so I see, so we have the building. Can you explain what's going on in this landscape area by the trash enclosure? Do we have any pictures of that or a landscape plan for that area?
The landscape behind the trash enclosure?
Yeah.
That is just going to go back as lawn. It's behind the trash, so we weren't going to have, a huge landscape package back there. Currently, it is concrete. It's a concrete ramp that leads up to actually the neighbor who's here. It leads up to their property. We're removing that just for the sake of our impervious coverage calculations and going back to a lawn condition, to what's behind it and what's next to it.
Okay, so that the white area is all currently grass lawn?
I'm sorry, what,
The
this
the
area
white,
here?
the white area off the
Behind this?
property, yeah.
Yes,
It's all
yes,
lawn.
yeah, this is
that's
all
the
lawn.
neighbors.
Okay.
Behind us.
And then you'll be putting fencing just around the trash enclosure in front of that green landscaped area?
Completely surrounding that, the dumpster area.
Okay.
Yes. Including gates.
Right, okay. So I just see that grass is a really bad kind of lawn cover if we're looking at trying to maximize our infiltration rates in small areas. So I know that you're removing some of that impervious cover, but lawn doesn't do a lot to do kind of heavy lifting when it comes to infiltration. Obviously, it's not going to be an impervious cover, and you're not going to be able to get a lot of actual, stormwater credits
Yeah,
for lawn or in that size area. But I just see that because it's just like a little tiny strip of grass. It's helpful that you said that it's connected to other areas of grass, but I just have worked in code enforcement long enough to see that you have one person who has one sliver of grass and they just don't maintain it. I'm not suggesting that you will, but it's just like a weird little small that you have to go in and mow just that tiny little bit. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So I don't know if it would make more sense to put, additional landscaping or a small rain garden or just something that's going to be a little bit more beneficial and something that might, if you do like a rain garden, then you only have to maintain it twice a year. So then you get a little bit more added value for stormwater. Again, not that you're really going to claim a lot of stormwater credits for it, but just it does a little bit more than lawn. And then it kind of doesn't create the condition where you have one small strip of grass that's not being maintained in the same cycle as the other grass because the neighbor mows the grass at a different frequency than this grass is mowed, and I don't know, then you get weird things that happen, and it just is silly, and it turns into one of those irksome things. So if there's a better solution for that, that might be beneficial. The other thing too is I don't know if you use that concrete sidewalk to get to the trash area, or is that like a fire escape for the neighboring property?
This concrete area, so there's a door right here to get out from the back of the kitchen, and this is a set of stairs not only utilized by their property, but I believe this goes over to the neighbors. Yeah, this is a shared set of stairs that goes over to the neighbor's second floor too. Leaving this open just to get them out to this area and also to utilize the dumpsters. That's why we left it as that.
So are these actual dumpsters? Because I can't imagine that you can navigate like a trash truck in there to do a tip. Is it just toters?
They're just toters, yeah. Yeah.
They're very dirty, and so the toads are a lot easier.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
You gotta.
Yeah, it's easier to maintain with the toads because I can clean them, and with dumpsters can get really.
Okay.
gross.
If that's the case, then I'm almost wondering if you want to just like alter the configuration a little bit of your landscaped area to your toters, because your sidewalk terminates at this grass area, and then because the fence is in front of it, it kind of makes it seem like that grass area doesn't belong to you, it belongs to the neighbor, because the fence kind of turns into that border between the properties. So I wonder if you rotate it 90 degrees, and then it would be more accessible for your staff to get to the toters. And then if we put a little landscaped area, so I don't have a pointer. I'll
I'm
draw
following,
something.
I'm following. Yeah.
So on
Instead
the
of
back
this
side
small
of,
rectangle, make a rectangle right here,
so do the
and then with landscaping back here.
landscape, correct, right?
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yes. Anyway, just an idea, just because, but you know your property, you know how people kind of come out of the building and what would be the most convenient for them to get to the trash toters. But it seems like that might be a good solution, just again, to kind of create that boundary, that delineation between properties a little bit cleaner, and that we're not just getting random strips of grass that might not be maintained similarly to the adjacent strips of grass. Okay, I will leave that for that point. The asphalt under the building addition, is that all going to be removed, or is the foundation going to be put on top of the asphalt?
No, it must be removed, yeah. Yeah, we
Okay,
have
so
to
we're
go
going
down
to
to frost level.
jackhammer. Okay,
Yes,
so
yeah.
we're going to
Well-
jackhammer that whole thing up and then excavate
Correct.
for the foundations.
Right, and there's no basement for this, so we're going down below frost, and that's all we're hitting.
Okay. Originally you said no utilities, but there is going to be a bathroom at the back end of the addition.
Correct.
Okay, do you have a crawl space under there for those utilities?
It'll be through the slab into the existing basement next door.
Okay,
Right pull up the. It'll be because right here is the kitchen. It's going to be just right there. It's not going to go all the way underneath. So when I say utilities, I meant no utilities, no new utilities from the public
Right,
to
okay,
the building is what I
okay.
meant. Sorry.
and there's a full basement in the original side of the building?
No, there is, I believe, there's only a basement in this location.
Okay,
out
and then the
back.
kitchen out
Correct,
back,
yeah.
is that at grade?
This door is at grade here.
The basement actually goes all the way to the back, even that old
To this
kitchen ends
one?
right there. That's the
Not
back
to
of the
this
brick
one.
building, Not there.
Okay, so to the back of the old kitchen, not the newer kitchen.
Okay, okay. And then can you explain to me what your runoff conditions are right now with the tents during heavy rain events? Have you noticed any concerns about where the water is going? And what does the sheet runoff look like right now? Where is it going?
The runoff conditions now are, obviously the tents are not ideal, and I understand where the question's going here. They run out to the driveway. Some of this runs through, we have a low point right in here behind the one tent. It flows through out into the street down the driveway. So the low point on the site is Darby Road. So everything flows towards Darby Road in the existing conditions. We're hoping to achieve that same condition, again, with the added asphalt in this area to keep any water from creating a pond right here, because right now it kind of flows and then back out this way.
Okay,
There was asphalt added in this area long ago. It's already cracked, but it flows down the driveway. I mean, all of this area flows down the driveway. This driveway is acting as the BMP, or as the stormwater conveyance.
right, okay.
And we're gonna continue that in the future with a slight modification, obviously, with the landscaping added and a slight reduction in the runoff to meet the Act 167. Yeah, it's not much, but as we're counting the disturbance area for the building and back here, we are meeting the Darby Cobb's Act 167.
Okay. Have there already been any problems with any significant ponding on Darby during rain events, or once the stormwater exits the site, does it flow into the township stormwater system?
Oddly enough, I can answer that question. The day we were out here surveying, the water company was emptying the water lines out on Campbell Road, so they're completely clearing out that line. It was flowing all the way down Campbell, down to an inlet in Darby Road, and we didn't have any issue in Darby Road. Now, that was not on the site itself, but we do have from back of the property to the front of the property to when we hit the sidewalk is around 2.5% slope. So water does flow very easily across the 2.5%. And obviously, as we go down the driveway, it increases to a 5 to 6% slope. So we do have plenty of positive slope down that way. I have not witnessed the site during a rain event. I'll invite the owner back up here if he wishes to give any other information for the rain runoff.
Yeah, all the rain literally it streams right down the center of their driveway. That's the way the driveway goes. And obviously Darby Road, if you ever seen it during a storm, it can go out like 6 feet into the street. It's pretty dangerous. Like it can get up like 6 inches high. That's all coming from the top though, from Wawa in that area.
Do you have any issues during cold weather with any ponding or icing on the sidewalks or the driveway, Bryn?
No, everything's sloped down. Like, yeah, it's not a very flat sidewalk.
Okay.
Not from there.
All right, and then my last question, unless I think of any more, you got a significant number of waivers from the zoning hearing board, I'm sorry,
Correct.
variances from the zoning hearing board. So one of the main concerns that I have in any land development is the fact that we're increasing the number of patron seats that the restaurant can manage. But this has been an increasing condition since 2018 when the tents were added. So the plan here would appear to reduce the number of parking spaces even further. So what has been the experience of the parking situation, and has there been any problems with that? Only in that, we continue to increase the size of the restaurant while reducing the number of parking spaces. Obviously, this restaurant never had enough parking spaces to begin with, even before the tents were added, but we've now continued to modify, and then this is now going to fully formalize the increase in the seat number, while even further reducing the parking. So I'm just curious what the experience has been with the parking as the current conditions have been in place for a couple of years. So what has that been like, and what are any problems or concerns that you've heard from people about that?
Sorry, that's on you again.
I haven't heard any. I mean, I'd say most of half of them walk there, or there's plenty of parking in the area. So people just kind of figure out where to park. Just like
Where do your employees park?
they usually park around the corner,
Off Street Park.
Wall Street, and then the one spot in the back I do give to my chef. It's like way in the back. It's a tight spot along the wall, so I just have him take that, so no one's trying to squeeze in there.
Okay.
Back and forth all night.
Is that what's against the back? You said a wall?
Yeah, there's like a wall that goes to the neighbor.
About
What sort of
Like
wall?
4-foot wall that
Yeah.
goes up to the neighbor's house where their yard is.
Okay.
A fence there.
Is it like CMU or concrete, or
What, the wall?
The
No,
wall.
it's actually a wood.
Yeah,
Wooden wall?
it's a wood wall.
is it like a retaining wall?
Yeah, like,
Yeah, it's a
like
retaining
railroad
wall, yeah.
ties. It's like 5, retaining wall, but it's
Yeah.
made
Okay.
out of railroad ties.
Okay, all right.
It's been there.
Okay. Okay, so what's the elevation change then? So the landscaped area, so you said it's about 4 feet? So I'm just looking at your landscaped area.
About 3.5 feet, yeah. Like
That
along
back-
that wall, along the back there, if you see.
Yeah, that back landscape area. So if there's that elevation change, I don't know, I still think it could be like a nice, put some arborvitae back there, a
could
little
put
rain
something
garden,
right there,
some
yeah.
like nice shrubs that really love to be in
shrubs
water.
are not. I completely agree with you that we don't want to have anybody else feeling the need to maintain a space back there. I don't know necessarily. I understand the rain garden idea, and I love doing rain gardens, and this is almost a good candidate. We're a little close to our property corners to be able to grade like a proper. I mean, we might come up with like a little something. But it's a very tight area to have to grade in that area, and we're a little close to the existing buildings. We don't want to create any water going in locations we don't want it to go. But yeah, landscaping is perfect, and it's going to look better for even the neighbors too. And I know some of the neighbors would like to see some more landscaping. So
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of nice because it softens the wall
Yeah, I'm
too
all
if they're
for
up
it. Yeah,
against.
I'm all for it.
Yeah.
and so actually up here the wall does disappear. It goes away. So the
Yeah,
wall
okay.
it
Becomes a
starts.
fence,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
kind of where we start. Yeah.
Okay.
It's sloped. It's sloped in that area, but it's not a wall. It's a steeper slope. It's not a steep slope. It's a steeper slope, but not a Oh, we got photos. There we go.
Yeah, the railroad tie ends there.
Oh, okay. I think we might have that in our.
Okay.
No, it's not in our image.
I see. Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. Great. Those are my questions. I will just open it up to anyone else at the Planning Commission who has additional comments or questions. Whoever wants to go first. Kim looks ready to go.
So first of all, great proposal. I love to see buildings up to the street that match kind of what's going on around it. So overall, great, phenomenal job. Would love to see more of these things in front of us. One clarification point. So in the addition, how many people do you expect to serve in that addition? Do you have a certain number, just a rough number?
I believe by building code, it is one person per 15 square feet. I don't anticipate we actually have that many people. 46, yeah, we're trying to keep it more open. We're not trying to cram people in as tight as we can. 15 is like the minimum. That's for standing room if we're going to do that, but we're not trying to get into that situation.
It's actually going to be less.
15
We have
is
60 there right now.
Yeah,
so it's
15
gonna
is
be
your
less.
unconcentrated tables and chairs.
Okay, yeah, yeah,
9 is
okay.
your standing room, so your
Okay.
bar is probably around 9.
Yeah.
I would just, make sure that your number of bathrooms meet the number of people you intend to serve, 1 per code and 2 on St. Patty's Day, and making sure that works well. My other question is this gonna, maybe Jamie, you can answer this, is this gonna be reviewed by the Historic Commission at all, given the historic properties around it, or no?
That's a great question. I don't know if I have to double check the actual, it's 100 feet, so I have to just double check that for
Okay.
you. Take a look right now.
Yep. And then my only other unofficial comment is you have a lot of ADA provisions in here, and I'm assuming you're doing them under the 2009 version fancy, not the 2021 version. And that's a code change that I believe is coming in July. So if you don't want to have to provide bigger bathrooms than you may want, I would suggest keeping that in mind in your
Yeah, I'm
submission
not
timeline.
sure what the architects dreamed up there. That's a good point. Thank you.
Unofficial comment.
That's a good point.
Just
Thank
trying
you.
to help you out a
No,
little
that's
bit.
perfect. Yeah, I'm not sure what they did, and I don't want to speak for them.
Yep.
Thank you.
But yeah, great proposal. Thank you guys very much.
Yes.
You're rendering?
Yep. There we go.
Okay. Are you proposing to use rain barrels?
I apologize. No, they don't. At this time, we're not proposing to use rain barrels. Our landscaping is going to go into this landscape area. Unless the client tells us otherwise, at this time, we weren't going to propose rain barrels for it. We know the mosquito issue that sometimes happens with them, so we're trying to just go down into landscaping and have it filter in through the lawn that way.
Okay. So would you consider using rain barrels? I mean, it would,
We'll consider. We'll definitely consider it.
I heard you say that you're putting in amended soil.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
That was a recommendation through the township engineer. I do apologize. We normally put that on there. We're putting anything on top of that. I skipped over that. We are proposing amended soils. If we try to put these on top of what's there now, they obviously would not grow. So.
Okay. Where would that be going? In that landscape area behind the dumpster area?
Any
Or-
area that's currently impervious that will be pervious will get the amended soils.
So the planting strip along the
Correct.
side of the building?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
That's honestly the most critical. We don't want those plants to die.
All right. I'm just
Yeah.
thinking if you can, discharge some of the roof runoff into that landscape area, it would help with the overall runoff.
Yeah, that was our original intent. And again, we can do the rain barrels. We do know that rain barrels are very beneficial. However, we do know the nature of businesses is if you don't empty them, with the rain event, or if we have them on a slow drip system, maybe that'll work a little better. We don't want to have any issues with mosquitoes. That's the thing. going
I
this
think they
summer.
have where you can have a hose connection at the
Yeah,
bottom. And
and they
on
put
the
that
water out?
slow drip
Okay.
hose
So-
along it. Yeah.
So you can do a hose, and then you can do a drip irrigation line
Yeah.
that runs behind your planting so that it's always dripping into that. And then you can get these things called mosquito dunks, and you put them
Yeah,
in
we
every
use them
couple
at
of
our work,
weeks.
yeah.
So honestly, they do a really phenomenal job, and you don't have to worry about mosquitoes. So there's ways to incorporate this in a beneficial way.
Okay.
Are the parking spaces at the back of the building, do you have any lights on the side of the building that would light those parking spaces for night?
Currently, there is not a light back there.
There's two lights.
There is one?
There's one in the back corner that goes out to the lot, and the other one's in the front, coming off of Benny's, the other building.
You can
There's
show.
nothing coming off the Crossbar building right now.
Okay,
But there is a
okay.
light
Oh,
that
that's- okay.
shines, but it's the other building that has
I
the two
understand.
lights,
Yeah,
the
that's
two
why.
spotlights.
okay. So,
So there is light back there.
There's light, but not our lights.
Not from
Okay,
the
that's what
Crossbar,
I
yeah.
meant. Yeah.
okay, so you feel there's sufficient lighting for those parking spaces back there
I
based
did. I'll
upon?
look at it again, but yeah, the fact that we're doing all this construction, it'd be nice maybe to put one on our building going out and even be a little brighter.
I would,
You do have a
But I mean, we
door,
do have a neighbor here, I don't know, he doesn't want it too bright. We obviously wouldn't want bright lights too bright back there.
It's fine if it is now.
Yeah, so,
I was
yeah,
gonna
but you could say, yeah, you don't want it super bright, you know what I mean, you're sitting out back, so I wouldn't want to do that to you.
all right. There is a door back there, right?
Light pollution isn't good.
There is
An emergency, yeah, an emergency
okay,
door.
so you
yes,
might
correct.
have the light for the emergency door?
Yeah, we might have maybe a little like
Yeah.
little, just above the door type light,
They
something like
They
that.
have them where you can put them 12 foot off the ground, okay, and they're full cutoff, so they only
Yeah.
shine down, they don't shine up and disturb any property owners.
Yeah,
But
we
they
only-
do provide, especially with the LEDs, they do
Yeah.
a real nice job.
Yeah, we only specify full NES full cutoff lights anyway. It seems to be the way everyone's moving towards, the dark skies. So that's all we specify anyway. And if you are worried, if one of the concerns we have is lighting, we can walk the site with our light meter and just kind of put on our plans. This is where our foot candles currently sit now. Take some photos. We can certainly provide those to you.
Yeah, I don't think our standards are that high as far as how much light you have to provide, but it might be a good idea coming out of a bar at night to have somewhere to see where you're going.
That's true.
What do you use the second floor for? Your second floor, what is that used for?
Right now?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for now, the second floor is just an office in the front,
Okay,
and then we use it for storage.
okay, you don't have any tenants up there or anything?
Nah.
All right. And quick question, does this have to go to the Shade Tree Commission?
yes, it does. And it missed the April meeting. They do not have a May meeting, and it will be going in June. And Kim, just to follow up, it does not fall within the 100 feet of a historic resource, so it won't be going to the Historical Commission.
Okay, thanks for checking.
Sure.
All right, so you'll have to go to the Shade Tree Commission and, whatever changes you're proposing as far as the landscaping, you want to make sure you have it ready for them when you go
Okay.
to that meeting. Okay,
Absolutely. Thank you.
that's all I have.
It looks very nice. So, just so I understand, you have a bar area, and you're adding just this dining room with tables and seating. Is the electrical a single electrical system for both?
Yes. Yeah. We're keeping the electrical system the same. We do have enough. We do have enough in the system currently to provide electricity in the dining room area because there's nothing else going in the dining room but lighting. We do have LEDs and television.
Are both bar and restaurant and dining room sprinklered?
No. No.
Do you have an alarm system in both?
A fire alarm system?
Yes.
I believe a fire alarm system is required in the dining room since it's new construction. I don't know if it's required in the bar since we're not modifying that area, but we can check on it. Do you have a fire alarm system in there now? You do? Okay, so
We
he does
do.
have one anyway, so.
And will that, if there's a fire in the bar area, do the people in the dining hall hear it directly? Does it go into their space? No, after.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, so in the future, it'll have to be that way, if that's what you're asking.
That's a code,
Right, yeah, it'll
code
have to be.
issue.
Correct, yeah. And same with, obviously, the kitchen, too. The kitchen will have, that'll be the same system also.
It's a problem if you burn lamb chops in the kitchen.
Yeah, I know.
No, thanks. Actually, very familiar with it and just frequenting Benny's and just familiar with the area. I actually kind of want to echo Maggie's thoughts on actually widening the sidewalk there. Having gone up and down that sidewalk a lot in the morning and seen it in the afternoon, there's a lot of foot traffic with kids from school. So just even an extra foot would probably help.
Okay.
Had one question just about the ADA space in the back. It says that accessible space signage is not required. Does that mean an ADA space isn't required, or just the signage isn't, or I wasn't sure?
It's an interesting section of the ADA code, and it took me quite a few weeks to try to understand what was going on with it. So the ADA code doesn't have a real cutoff for when a space is required. If there is a space, the ADA space would be required. However, section 111101 just designates that we have to have a accessible space, but there is a cutoff of 4 or less. Doesn't require it to be or 5 or less. I apologize. I believe it's 5 or less. Does not require it to be signed as solely ADA space. And the reason for that is if you have 2 spaces and one's ADA, one person might not be using that all the time, so you have that space that's never utilized, versus one that is ADA accessible, and if it is available, can be used for ADA persons.
So is it a different space width for ADA, or? They look all the same on the plan. That's why I was also scratching my head.
So it's still the same space. So the area that is hatched is the area of, that's the transfer aisle for that space.
Oh, okay.
Right, so the signage isn't required for the space itself. The transfer aisle and the space width of the full 16 feet is required. So that area that's hatched is just shown to be as the hatched area for the ADA space.
Got it. Okay.
Sorry, yeah, it's a little unclear. It's still required to be there, but it doesn't need to have any special signage per the ADA code.
So if I understand correctly, you're providing the accommodation so someone in a wheelchair can adequately use the facility.
Correct.
However, you're not preventing someone in a non-wheelchair to park there.
Correct, and that's how the ADA code's it's open-ended for that use, yeah. And right now those spaces are there. There are none. There are no marked handicap accessible spaces. But obviously, moving forward, we have to meet these sections of the code. So this is the code we're trying to fall under.
What are the widths of the spaces, the dimensions?
Existing spaces,
Proposed.
they vary.
No, proposed.
Oh, proposed. So they are existing, and they do vary. The only one we are modifying is that last one, and that'll be the transfer aisle for the handicap space. So as Greg stated, the last one is a little tight. It's up against the wall. I believe they went 8. I want to say they're about 8 feet wide. Okay, yeah. The last one is a little bit tighter, but I think that's just maybe because of the wall, and you're center to center, maybe an inch or 2 less at the end space.
8 by what?
18? 18? Okay.
18? Okay, thanks, Chuck. Sorry, Steve, keep going.
That's all I had.
Okay.
Thanks.
Sorry, thanks.
Okay, great. Anything else pop into anyone else's heads? Okay. I will note the applicant has also requested 4 waivers. They are listed on the plan. So that is for,
Sorry, I pulled it up a little bit. If you can.
probably easier for me to just blow it up.
Oh, yeah, you're good.
here. Okay, so we're looking for, all right, so a waiver from subdivision land development ordinance, section 160-4.A, requiring a combined preliminary final land development application. Ordinance 160-4.E.5, is that an I?
It's an I, yes.
Requiring a traffic impact study, so requesting to not provide a traffic impact study.
Correct.
SALDO ordinance section 160-4.E.5E4 to not provide all storm sanitary and water lines within 400 feet. They're being provided within how many feet?
We're providing them on the site, and then as we were able to find them around the site, we didn't want to go into neighboring properties to survey all of their water lines.
Okay. And then the final one is the Haverford Township design standards for curbs, which would otherwise require an 8-inch reveal. The applicant is requesting a waiver to allow a 6-inch curb reveal. And that would be along Darby Road.
That is new curb on the site. Along Darby Road, if we have to replace it, it'll be in kind or to the 8-inch standard. I believe along Darby Road it already is 8 inches. It's the curb along the site, along the side of the building.
Oh, it's just curb along the
Yes,
landscaped area?
it's only on the site.
Okay,
We're only asking for it on the site.
thank you for that clarification. So, does anybody have any thoughts or comments or questions about these waivers?
Does this last waiver apply to the curb in front? There's like a funky curb, there's like a double curb at the sidewalks. If you pull up the one rendering, you can kind of see it. I know, because I've almost fallen over it.
Oh, this?
Yeah, that doesn't apply to that, right?
We're not trying to
All right.
modify. Yeah, if there is, I believe the curb in front is 8 inches, if I remember my survey correctly. And again, during the discussion, if there's any substandard curb or sidewalk, we'll replace it during construction. It'll be best for the owner too, to just have it be done then. It'll be a little cheaper. And any curb along the street will be replaced, like I said, in kind, or I believe they are 8 inches. We don't want to create any deviations in the curb there too far. Yeah, and as we move up the site, your question there, actually they come into steps as you go all the way around the corner. So there is no pathway down. Once you get up to these 3 businesses, there's no pathway down to then cross Campbell Avenue. So it's actually down and around, up, in front of the cleaners and the property next to them.
It's actually been a problem over the years. People all walk their kids up towards Wawa. They can't get down. So that's not my issue. It's, the corner there. At some point, I was hoping they're going to fix that and have a ramp that goes across. But people right now walk in the street with like their kids to get down with strollers. It's like 2 steps to get down to the street. It's very crazy.
They utilize the bike lane. They utilize the bike lane out
Yeah.
in Darby Road.
Because if you say it's really steep, like the curbs are really high on that corner. It's kind of,
I believe that was actually because of the trolley line before. Somebody
yeah,
can
there was
probably correct me, but
Yeah,
there was a trolley on there.
I'm not sure. We will pass that overall complaint over to our township staff to note that for future consideration. Angela?
I was going to say, the sidewalk in front of the existing bar, you're at 2 level, basically.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. And the reason for that is you have the grade of Darby Road, you have the grade of the buildings, and the elevation difference was 2 grades. So when PennDOT eliminated or removed the trolley tracks and rebuilt Darby Road, they had no choice but to put a step in that sidewalk.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How about that?
there's 1 curb down, and then as you go up, it turns into 2 larger steps actually too. Yeah.
The architect did bring up to me that we'd be willing to do is like where those bushes are, where you want to make it 5 feet. We'd be willing to do something where it can do some kind of ramp to get down to that level. You know what I mean? We would utilize our property. You know what I mean? I know we have tables there now, but something possibly could be done where you come in there and then it can grade down where you get down there.
We
With the
would
ramp.
need,
We'd be willing to, do that in front of our building.
yeah, I would like to
Make it
point out
better.
that we would need some, it wouldn't be just in front of our property. It'd have to expand into the neighboring property, in front of, not on their property, within the right of way, but it won't just be on our property. It could be.
If you did something there, you'd have to go to PennDOT and get a permit.
Yeah,
I
that's,
know, that's why I don't know. He just said that's.
we want to, yeah,
Township
we don't
would
want
wanna
that
do.
as a part of this project though. Okay.
All right, well, that's something good to know, and
Yeah.
I would just,
Especially
again,
with expanding, you want us to expand that sidewalk, but it may be able to work out somehow.
yeah, I
don't know the
mean,
Design, but that is something our architect did bring up and would be willing to do.
ultimately, because of the walkability of that area, I would highly encourage you to figure something out like
And it is, I
that,
mean,
so.
Wawa, it's so busy, so many people walk out in front of there.
Right,
All
and
day
it's,
on it.
you said all those school kids, so I will,
Yeah,
again,
School after school.
defer you to, if it's not being considered as part of this land
We
development.
would like it to not be. Yes.
Then don't offer it to us, because we certainly will take you up on that offer.
PennDOT, it will be in front of PennDOT for a while.
Okay.
We don't want that.
What's that?
You're going to open up a can of worms.
No,
with that.
that's why I'm trying to, all right.
Okay, so for the purposes
Future.
of the land development, we are making the recommendation that you increase the sidewalk to 5 feet and replace the box shrubs with something more suitable. However, again, I will give this over to our township staff to put a pin in that for any future opportunities to improve the sidewalk along here. It sounds like you have a willing property owner if the adjoining property owners further up the street have some interest. So thank you for that, and maybe that will come to fruition one day.
Thank you.
Okay, Kim, did you have anything about the waivers requested? And then finally, I will turn to Chuck. Is there anything in the applicant's response letter that you would like to respond to, or any other additional comments for our consideration?
Just want to be clear that you are using amended soils everywhere you're taking out
Correct.
paving?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, we are going to add the plan set to the,
How, you have a curb around the plantings right there, so how does water get in there then,
it'll be from the roof.
from the roof?
Right, and since we don't have a basement, we're not worried about water infiltrating into a basement.
Roof is caught by the gutters, right?
Correct.
And downspouts are just going to discharge into that area?
Right, so the recommendation, actually, I think we're going to work with the recommendation they had was for the rain barrels with a slow drip irrigation system to feed the landscaping along the side there.
The only caution that I have about doing that is that that works to drain the rain barrels in between rain events. However, if that is just 50-gallon rain barrel, I have 2 of them on my house, and they fill up, like the rain that we had, earlier this week, when it just like poured rain.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just like poured. Those things were full within the first like 5 minutes. So either increase the size of your rain barrels to accommodate a slightly larger size, or when you have your overflow, that will assuredly happen
It will,
during
yeah.
rain events, to have some sort of overflow that does direct into the landscape area,
Okay.
as well as the drip irrigation. Because the drip irrigation is great to drain it in between.
Slowly over the summer, yeah.
But if you don't have a way that the downspouts are directed into it during rain events, then you're not going to get any sort of infiltration. Because I don't know if there's going to be a roof overhang. I mean, you might get some, but just something to consider as you're looking at the actual
Oh, I
design of the
understand. Yeah,
downspouts.
okay. Yeah.
Okay, anything else, Jeff?
I do not have anything else, Maggie.
Okay, thank you. All right, it sounds like we have no other comments or questions. So at this time, the applicant is looking for a recommendation from the Planning Commission for an approval of the preliminary final land development plan. I'm sorry, yes, thank you, Steve. I was gonna make a motion and second and then open up to public comment, but yes, we can definitely do public comment first. Sir, would you like to say anything? Okay, are you a neighbor?
Yeah, I'm in the house right there, one Campbell Ave.
Okay,
Brick house in the back there.
okay,
Our backyard's touched. Backyard touches the park.
okay,
Just here to check it out.
okay.
Yeah.
But you guys are in touch?
Now they are.
Now they are.
Yeah, my wife's working.
He's eating there, but just never knew.
I've been there plenty of times.
Well, great. I would, Star, I would encourage you to give your business card to him just in case he has any concerns during the construction process, just so he can alert, as being kind of the residential neighbor who's going to be most impacted by this. And thank you so much for coming this evening. Okay, great. So with that being said, may I entertain a motion, please, from the Planning Commission? Would anybody like to make a motion? I think Angelo does, yes. Go ahead.
I make a motion that we recommend approval of the preliminary final land development and lot consolidation plan for the crossbar, subject to the following conditions. Number 1, that all the outstanding comments contained in the Township Engineer's letter dated April 24th, 2025 be addressed to the satisfaction of the township. Number 2, that the layout of the proposed trash enclosure and adjacent landscape areas be modified as suggested by our discussion this evening. Number 3, that the sidewalk in front of the property be widened to 5 feet. Number 4, that consideration be given to the use of rain barrels to collect runoff from the new roof area and distribute it through the landscaping areas. And number 5, that existing lighting on the property be evaluated to ensure that adequate lighting is provided for the parking spaces in the back of the building.
Thank you, Angelo. Is there a second?
Second.
David seconds. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Congratulations, best of luck with the project. Okay, moving on to our next agenda item, the review of minutes. So we were all given meeting minutes from March 13th, 2025. Does anybody have any comments, questions, or corrections? And if none, would anybody like to make a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, Kim makes the motion. Does anybody second?
I'll second.
Angela seconds. Any comments? Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, minutes are approved. There being no other business before us this evening, may I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right, we got unanimous, so we'll do first and second with Angelo and David. We are adjourned. It is now 8:04. Have a great evening.
Thank you.